So guys, I have a problem. My problem is that my money situation will not improve unless I act in a different way. And I was thinking it's all these different things. I could take a whole bunch of different routes, but instead of just focusing on a route, I completely missed the gap. So this video is about problem solving. How do we figure out how to properly problem solve? I do have a little TikTok as well, if you want to check that out. It's much shorter than this, but I don't know about much shorter, but problem solving, problem number one, or thing, step number one. So it is kind of a 3-step, semi-5-step process. Step number one, you have to identify the problem. So what is it that keeps repeating? What is it that keeps hindering you or stopping you or making something happen that you don't want it to happen? What is that? Now, this is sometimes within your control and it is sometimes not within your control. But the idea is to just for now, just identify that that's a problem. So I'm using my example, as you know, of money, but maybe we can think of like a more ethereal problem later on, like a self-reflection or a manifestation maybe, but money. So, and then I was thinking, well, how do I, okay, I've identified the problem. Now what do I do with the problem? And this is where I kept getting stuck, because I then go 100 different routes and I do them all at the same time. I mean, I'm currently growing weed. I'm currently to sell, which I shouldn't be saying online, but I need money, dude. So yes, that is something I'm doing. I'm currently growing weed in the hopes that I can sell it down the line. I'm putting my course on other platforms. You know, I'm just doing a lot. I'm not going to go through the list. I would be here for a little while, but I'm literally doing so much to try and improve my situation. And it keeps not improving. So I figured this is a time to step back and reevaluate. And I realized that this is the step I'm missing. And I think a lot of people are missing it as well. A lot of people can see the issue. You don't have money. Yeah, duh, I don't have money. Fuck, man. So what do I do about it? This is where we get stuck. We either get overwhelmed by the options we have, or we think that none of these options are ever going to work, which then takes us into the fourth thing, which we'll talk about now. But the second thing is to do research. Okay, so the second thing is to do research. The 3 steps, just to sum this up, is 1, identify the problem. 2, make 3 decisions, possible options. And 3 is to take massive action. As Ed Milet would say, take massive action. But there are 2 sub-steps that are missed that are very vital. The second one, so it's actually 1.5 to 2.53. 1.5 is to do research. Figure out which one, you can have options, but why would you just go and latch onto the option? You know what I mean? Go do your research. See what is most feasible, what is most likely, what will occur. Also then sit back and think about it. Think about from a day from tomorrow, how am I going to feel about it? From a week from now, 6 months from now, a year from now even, how am I going to feel about that? Then you can make a much more educated decision about your choices, which then brings you to step number 3. I'm just going to do it like that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step number 3 is then your giving yourself choices. You have a bunch of choices. If you don't have choices, BTW, my suggestion to you is to go and sit down and give yourself half an hour every single day to sit down, very much in a garden or even in a swimming pool, a bath, whatever it is. Don't do it in a shower, that's a waste of water, but sit down 30 minutes and contemplate. And I'm not saying like sit there and think about how can I do this, how can I do this. Literally actually let all of it go. Literally just let it all go. Maybe if you want before the meditation, you can say, meditation before the sitting, okay? Before you sit down, think about the intention, think about what you want. Even ask, pray, give a prayer. Say out loud, say, I'm looking for guidance on how I can solve this problem. Please help me. I'm looking for 3 options on how I can solve my financial issues. Please help me. Then you go and you sit down and you think, my ability to do that is pretty good now that I'm realizing it, because the issue is that I keep doing too much, which brings me to the next one. Step number 3, I mean, we're still on step number 3, but you know what I mean, right? The next part of this step is that you have to then, after doing step number 2, research and self-reflection, you then have to, which is this meditation, you then go and step number 3, you give yourself your 3 choices. So take the most educated guesses. My suggestion would be, number 1, choose the one that is most appealing to you. Number 2, choose the one that seems most lucrative to you. And number 3, you can actually just take your pick. You know, maybe there's another thing that you like, or there's another one that you think could be lucrative. But take those 3 choices and then narrow it down to 1. So just take those 3 choices. If you have 100 choices, choose 3. Then you have to go back further and narrow it to 1. Because the more you focus on one particular project, the sooner it's going to get accomplished. The sooner your problem will be resolved. So what do? You choose the option you want. Duh. If you're really so focused on the money thing, choose the one that's most lucrative, in your opinion. If you want to have the most fun, choose the one that's the most appealing to you. But do something, you know what I mean? So that's the next step, is then you then have to realize, once you've made the decision, that you should also have made the commitment. If you've made the decision, you've made the commitment. If you haven't made the commitment, then you haven't actually made your decision, and you need to rethink what you're doing. You need to reevaluate your life, because it means that you're stuck somewhere and you're holding onto self-limiting beliefs that are stopping you from advancing forward. And that is where that self-reflection comes in play. It might take you a full month. It won't. I'm most certainly sure that it won't take you a full month, but it might take you a full month of sitting every day for 30 minutes before you actually get guidance on how to fix your problem. So just be aware of that, but put the dedication. Dude, it's a process. You can't just have everything right now. If you have to change the way that life has been happening for you, of course, it's going to take time for life to adjust to that. And in the meantime, it's our job to try and not let it get to us too much. Stay positive and optimistic. Which then brings me to the next step number 4. Step number 4 is to then build certainty behind your decision. So that is when you then stand into your commitments. You almost root yourself into your commitments, your decision. You said, I have decided on this. Now I'm going to do this. And this is where a lot of people might think, well, now I'm stuck again because I don't know how to do this. Well, you should have covered this already in step number 2 with the research. Otherwise, you don't really know what you're doing, and you can't be 1,000% sure that it will produce the results. Remember, the more sure you are about how this could play out, the more certainty you can place behind it, because you're aware that this could actually produce results within your reach. So you need to be aware of that. The research stage is very important. But if you're like me and you're haphazard, and you're a little bit reckless and mindless, you get here to step number 4 and you lose certainty because you haven't done step number 2. Now, if you are like me and reckless and haphazard, you also know that experience is one of the best teachers in the world. And you can learn by experience, but it's going to be hard. You're going to have days like this, like I'm having now, where things are just not really working out. I had a whole bunch of plans I was really looking forward to today, and everything worked out the exact opposite of what I wanted, and that's why I'm building into this video now. And my point there is that now I have to go back to step 2, which makes it a 6-step process instead of a 5-step process, which it could have been. But I think a 6-step process is actually the better way to go. So I'm going to restructure this. I've been building this off of what other people have been saying and a bit of my experience, but I think the 6-step process is the right way to go. So that's what you do. So now I have to make my decision. Now I have made my decision. I have decided that I'm done chasing money. So I'm not, in fact, going for the most lucrative option. And I am, in fact, putting all my other things aside, not doing them, but they're becoming peripheral. They're not becoming the focus of my life. And that works out because, you know, weed has to take a long time to grow. Courses have to take a long time for people to get them and stuff like that. So I might as well do something else with all my attention in the interim. And that is this next process. So the decision I've made, the problem was, in fact, let me go from the beginning, just so that everybody can follow along on how to do this process. So step number 1, identify the problem. Okay, I'm constantly struggling with money. Cool, that's a problem. All right, That's the problem. Step number 2 is then to do my research. Now, this is the step that I missed. However, I did do my contemplation, and my contemplation gave me a lot of guidance. The thing is that I could have also put research into that and gone and learned about the different options instead of just doing all of them. However, I could also back myself up by saying I actually then just tried them all out practically to see which ones I do versus don't want to do. So yes, I guess I did kind of do my research. I just did it in a different way. I did it in a more haphazard, that's the word that keeps coming to mind, but I did it in a more haphazard way, which hurts a little bit more, but it also was more my style. I just prefer that. I like to live my life rather than be behind a computer. But I would recommend doing the research, because now I'm going to have to go back and do it. But then the third step is to make the decision, get 3 decisions and bring it down to 1 decision. I've done that. My 3 decisions were pretty much everything that I'm going on, but I didn't even have to go through that 3-step process, because I just immediately decided on 1 step, and I'm so certain about that step that nothing's going to stop me. And I'm now going to grow my gaming channel to 1,000 subscribers. And hopefully I can do that by the end of the year. That would be freaking awesome. Otherwise, January or February next year, which would be even also very super awesome. And how am I going to do it? Well, I clearly also now have to dive into a second problem. So remember that as you're solving problems, you're going to have other problems come up. And the other problem is that I now need to learn properly how to grow to 1,000 subs, because I'm not. My problem is I'm not growing to 1,000 subs. My problem is I don't know why. So what do I need to do? I don't know why. I need to learn why, because then I can identify the root cause. I forget what it's called. I think it's foundational thinking or something like that. But the very bottom, what is the actual issue? And that's why this problem solving technique is pretty powerful, because you can do a problem, identify another problem within it, do the problem, identify that problem, do it until you get to that root. Then that root is, you can unplug that root, kick it, fucking burn it or whatever, get rid of that shit, and then move on to the next problem, so on and so forth. So that's what I'm doing. So then my sub problem to my actual problem of no money is 1,000 subs on YouTube. Cool. Now let me let go of the financial problem. That's no longer something I'm worried about. Do not think about the problem at all. The problem doesn't need your attention. The decision needs your attention. Your action needs your commitment to it. So focus on it. Focus. Attention is the number one thing. Attention is your energy, okay? Your energy being on something, of course, that's going to make it happen better, but it's got to be on it in the right way. It's got to be on it in the way of, I'm certain this is doing something for me to help me and benefit me, and whatever happens, I'm certain that this action is the right action for me to be taking right now. And even if you have to go right down to, I don't know which path to take when I'm walking on the street, why am I thinking about that if it's over there? Let me focus. Step 1, cool, that's an action. Next action. Step 2, that's an action. Step 3, okay, that's how you have to do this. You have to break it down to be super pragmatical, like building blocks. So we can now leave that financial problem behind. I'm not focused on that anymore. I'm now more focused, almost fixated on how do I get this 1,000 subs. And I've already got the answer for myself, is to get this course. There's a course that I'm going to be doing, a money back guaranteed course. So I know that it's worthwhile. I know that I'm risk free, and I know that this guy is most likely going to help me out to grow my channel to 1,000 subscribers. So that's what I'm doing. Problem solved. I will solve this problem. Oh yeah. So then the next step is step 4. Step 4 is then to be certain behind your decision. And I am certain. I just said all the reasons why. I did a little bit of my research. I know this guy as well. I know his videos and his channel and things like that. I know his repertoire with other people as well. So I'm pretty happy to go about that. Plus other things as well. Like the universe has just been saying, yes, Josh, I think that's the right idea for you. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll latch onto it. And then the last one is step number 5 is to take the action and be certain. So take the action and be certain, unless you need to do the research, but that was step number 4 for me. So actually it is just a 5-step process. I know this is a messy video, you know, I'm not that guy who scripts this stuff out. I speak intuitively. So I'm just saying stuff as I say it, and I know that all of this is going to help some people in some regard. So step number 5 is to take the action with certainty. You have to be fully committed. You don't have to say, you don't have to be like, this is gonna get me 1,000 subscribers. But you can be like, this is definitely going to get me more subscribers. This is definitely going to be something that is going to teach me skills. This is definitely going to be something you can make it personal to yourself. Don't make it external. It's not about how many subscribers I can get and when. It's actually about how can I evolve myself and my skills and my assets to allow myself to get those 1,000 subscribers. And that's why this course is so important. Learning is so important, man. Any problem that you think can't be solved, you just need to sit back, do this process, break it down, find what you need to learn, because you will always need to learn unless you just need to do. Some people have learned enough and they rely on that and they think that learning is everything. No, you have to take the action. If you don't take an action, nothing's going to happen. But at the same time, and this is something that I struggled with for a long time, many years in fact, if you take action too soon, if you take action, and things keep not working out, but you just keep thinking, fuck it, dude, I'm just going to keep going, chugga. Eventually, you're going to run out of steam, dude, and your body's going to give up, you're going to get sick, you're not going to be happy, you're going to have a bad time. So what you have to do in that case is sit back and do your 30 minutes a day. Do 30 minutes a day. Sit down for 30 minutes a day. That's all you have to do, and you will figure out what you have to do. Literally, that is the start. That is the starting process. If you are stuck and you don't know how to fix the issue because you don't know what you're missing, then you need to sit back and let the universe tell you what you're missing, because it will. Your inner self will tell you what you're missing. Your inner self knows everything about you. Your inner self knows how you're going to get here to here. Your inner self knows that you could do it a million different ways. It's just us that gets fixated on one particular way. And that's another reason why my finances are not taking off. Is because I was so fixated on just getting it through my job. Why am I so fixated on that? There are a million ways for me to make money. So that was another problem for me to identify. And that is the point of the research and contemplation stage. It all works together. If you think this is too complicated, it's not, dude. It's not. Step 1, let's just summarize. Step 1, find the problem. If you even don't know what the problem is, go and sit down. Okay, go and sit down and journal. You can contemplate if you want, but journaling is way better, because then you can figure out where your anger is. Focus on your bad emotions. Anger. Why are you angry? Why am I angry? Why am I upset? Why do I feel attacked? Whatever it is, write down and you will find your problem. So step 1 is identify the problem. Step 2 is then to do your research and contemplation. If you've identified the problem and you're a very pragmatic soul, you will very easily be able to find certain solutions. Just naturally, just intuitively, you're like, well, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. Or you might be like me initially. I think I can do that other way now pretty easily, but initially it took me a long time to learn that. So this is a heads up that you will learn the skill. These skills, it takes years. It takes literal years, man, for these skills for some people to develop. But that's the way it is. If you keep working on it, you will develop them. So step 2 is then the research phase and contemplation phase. This is where the research is, or let's start with the contemplation. The contemplation phase is where if you can't pragmatically find the issue, or you can't pragmatically find the solutions, potential solutions, then go and sit down, do your 30 minutes a day sitting down. You can do it any way you want. Water is a super good thing to be around. Trees as well. Trees super beneficial to be doing this contemplation thing around. The sun is also very nice, but be aware that you shouldn't be in the sun in midday and things like that, especially not for 30 minutes. So yes, so that's step 2 is your contemplation. Then you go into your the research stage. So now, either if you had to do the contemplation or if you just already knew what you need to do, you still need to learn. You still need to understand how you're going to do what it is you're going to do, right? So my thing, if I go back, money. What is the issue? I was trying to do it in one place. That was in my contemplation, okay? is I was trying to get money from one place, and that's not working. So the solution is decide on 3 solutions. Do my research of potential solutions, or if I want to, I can even just think about the 3 that feel the most right, and then I can bring them to me and say, okay, these are my 3 options. I'm now going to go ahead and research these so that I can identify which is the best or most feasible, most viable, most incredible option that I could have of these 3 options. Okay, you need to be certain as in your elimination process. You need to be certain. And if you do your research and you find that maybe 1 or 2 of them aren't working for you, get rid of them, go back to the drawing board, choose the next 1 or 2, bring them back, and also identify that it might actually mean that that one might be the one that you should have gone for. So just be aware of that. Okay, but that's that. So my 3 choices, I didn't even have to do that. I just knew the choice is to do this course, okay? Because I've already done my research through these years and years. So that step I can kind of skip a little bit because I've already done it in multiple bits and pieces. Okay, then you go on to step number 4. So step number 3 is your decision. 3 decisions, get it down to 1 decision. So my decision there was then to get myself to 1,000 subs on YouTube so I can get monetized on YouTube. That is a goal that I am now implementing for myself here and now, and it is something that I see myself reaching very soon, actually very shortly in the future, regardless of doubts and stuff, which we'll get into now. Then you go into step 4, which is the certainty stage. Now, the certainty stage is where you build the commitment for yourself. Okay, so we're actually going to change this up a little bit. Step 4 is where you're now going to allow this thing to place itself in you with faith. And what that means is you're now going to go back to contemplation, meditation, reflection, journaling, mirror work, video work if you want, whatever you want, but you're going to release. You're going to unpluck all the seeds of doubt and sorrow and pain and past experience, and you're going to replace it with faith. Now, this is where people get stuck. How do I do this? Well, it's pretty easy. When you look at it practically and pragmatically, it's pretty easy. So what do? You acknowledge. You just acknowledge it. Okay, so step 4 is actually the acknowledgement stage. That is something that I just talked about over there and I completely forgot about it. But the acknowledgement stage is acknowledging that there is a doubt to you. There are shadows. There's a shadow self to you. Okay, acknowledging that there's pain. Where does the pain come from? Is it something I can stop? Is it something that I need to carry anymore? Just ask yourself intuitive questions about it. Go in your head, sit back, feel the pain. If you're like me, you can feel energy kind of on your body, and then you can dive into the pain. You can even start cleaning out the pain. This morning, actually just now, I was lying here cleaning out a wound that must have been from a past life or something like that, because I was in my head, I was digging inside myself, cleaning out this energy wound, because I was contemplating stuff that happened today as a result of all of this, of problem solving and whatnot. So step 4 is the acknowledgements. Okay, acknowledge that there are doubts as well as fears, but also acknowledge that it's okay, because what do you do with energy? If you don't want that energy, you put the opposite. Okay, so there's doubt. Yes, there is doubt, but actually I have more faith behind this than I do doubt. And that's literally all you have to do. You just put that thought, or that, you can even speak it out loud if you want, but that thought is powerful. So affirmations are, yes, they do work and they are powerful, but thoughts are also powerful in terms of stopping other thoughts. So if you focus on producing a new thought, the old thought has no choice but to go away. Okay, so what you got to do is, the thought comes in, oh, I'm feeling doubtful about my 1,000 subscribers. Yes, that's true. I am feeling doubtful about getting those 1,000 subscribers, especially by this date. However, I also do believe that that is something I can do. I do believe that as a human being, that is possible. I have faith that the universe wants that to happen for me. Boom, 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 I'm going to receive it. Okay? Then you go on to step number 5. Step number 5 is then the taking the action. So that's when you build certainty, but actually step number 4, the acknowledgement, is already preconditioning you into certainty. You're already going to be certain by the time you get to this action because you've put so much faith. I just said those 3 things and I feel super empowered. I'm ready to go and do this course right now. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what commitment and certainty does. In fact, certainty breeds commitment. If you're certain, then you're going to be committed because you want to see what happens. You're curious. A human being is curious. You want to see if this is actually going to work, especially because you believe so strongly that it will, and you can even then take it to the next step and believe that it has. But that's manifestation, and that's something I'm still working on. Okay, so then the next step is to step 6 is the taking massive action. Take massive action. Whatever it is you've decided to do, take the action and do it. You know, I've been procrastinating the whole day today. Instead of buying this freaking course, I mean, yes, it's because I've had stuff to do, but still, I could have done the course instead, especially with the way that nothing has worked out. So, or today wasn't done anyways. You know what I mean? So I could have taken a different course of action today. But it's okay. I'm not worried about it because I know I can still take this action and I will still get the results that I want to get. There you go. Take massive action. And then step number 7, if we're going to throw a pinnacle point into this, step number 7 is going to be the whole manifestation process. You now need to believe that you have already achieved what you want to achieve. Now, this is difficult. This is where things get a little bit tricky because this often gets muddled up with the other steps, specifically the 2 contemplation/research steps. Okay, if you're busy contemplating what the problem is, actually, I don't even remember what I was going to go on about. Okay, but the manifestation is you now just need to believe. Okay, you just need to have the faith that you have already achieved what you want to achieve. And it's not to say that you now need to see a future version of yourself. In fact, you absolutely should not be seeing a future version of yourself, or a slimmer version, or a version without freckles, or whatever. You do not want to be seeing that unless that is exactly the situation that you want to manifest. In which case, if you want to manifest a gaming computer and you see yourself without freckles when you're naturally a freckled person, that means you will never have that gaming computer because you will never lose your freckles. So you've got to be aware of that. Okay, you need to manifest with the intention of, it's for me right now as I am. I don't need to be any different than who I am. I just need to accept myself as I am. Boom! Manifestation. It is now yours. Okay, and that's how it works. Now, these are the 7 steps. This is the pragmatic solution to actually finding and solving a problem and getting what you want in life. Now, this is something that I know, and it is something that I have been trying to figure out for a very, very long time. Finally, today, I have pieced all the pieces together, and that is why I'm making this video, because I believe that this video is something that will help a lot of people as well as myself. So, thank you very much. I love you. Peace out. Goodbye.